We talk about stira, and stira means seclusion, or what we'd call it today in our language, we call yichud. So how much is considered stira, or how much is considered yichud? So the Gemara says as follows, and there'll be a number of different opinions over here. One opinion is kedei tumah, and kedei tumah means kedei bia, and kedei bia means kedei ha'ara, that's the ascholas of bia, and kedei hakofas dekel, the time that it takes to walk around a tree, a dekel.
Very little.
Huh?
Very short.
Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Lezer Aimer, kedei mezigas hakais. The time that it takes to mix a kais, in other words, Morgan Zeiten, the wine was very thick and very, very strong, so it wasn't drinkable. So you had to mix the wine with water. So it took time to mix it to bring it to a proper taste. And Rabbi Shua, the time that it takes to drink a kais of wine. And Benazai is beya, the time that it takes to fry an egg. And Rabbi Kiva, the time that it takes to swallow down the egg. We're talking about a soft egg over here, so you drink it down. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir, not one egg, but the time it takes to swallow down 3 eggs. Rabbi Lezer ben Yirmi, kedei riksha galdi nimo. A weaver is working with threads, but sometimes a thread cracks, so he has to tie it together. So the time that it takes for the weaver to tie, they know that it's a skillful person. Chanan ben Pinchas Aimer, kedei shetoshid yada l'techpia, rito kisem. The time that it takes for a woman to stretch out her hand to her mouth, to take with a toothpick, to take out something that's stuck between the teeth. Plimi Aimer, and Plimi says, kedei shetoshid yada l'sal, rito kika. The time that it takes for it to stretch her hand, if there's a basket full of bread, so the bread is a little bit together, it's soft, it's hard, we'll see in the Gemara, and the time that it takes to get out a bread from among the breads. And now why does he give such a simon from a woman taking out a bread from a basket? He says, even though there's no fair shirayat to this shir, but zeichel l'dava. But there's a pasuk that sort of alludes to this inyan. Because the pasuk says, ki biyad isha zayna ad kika lechem. That that a person will give away a piece of bread to get the zayna. So you see there's a connection between znus and a kika lechem. So the Gemara says, V'chol hani lamali. In other words, the first one said that it's kedei tumah, kedei bia, kedei ora, kedei. He gave you 4 things. Why does he give you 4 things? All the others just say one thing. Why does he say 4 things? So Gemara says, because tzricha, we need them. The itani kedei tumah, if it would just say kedei tumah, havamina kedei tumah v'atzeiseha. Not just the act, but also the convincing her to do it. Kamash v'ron, no, that's kedei bia. You don't need atzeiseha. V'itani kedei bia, havamina kedei gemar bia. Kamash v'ron kedei ha'ora. That means the aschola bia. V'itani kedei ha'ora, havamina kedei ha'ora v'atzeiseha. That taka just the beginning, but also the persuasion. Kamash v'ron kedei tumah. Therefore he tells us, and bekama kedei ora. How long is this? This is kedei hakafas dekel.
So this is very short.
In fact, the Gemara, Uraminu, I have a question. Steht in Pasuk, V'nistra, Pasuk says V'nistra, so there's a Braisa that says as follows. The kama shestira, how much is it? Lo shemanu, we were never told what exactly. Kishulam behinit more, and it says the pasuk benissa behinit more. So habiyayim, so it seems to say kedei tumah, and what's kedei tumah? Kedei bia, kedei ha'ara, and he says kedei chazaras dekel. Before it said hakafas dekel, now it says chazaras dekel. Divrei Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shua mekedei mizigas hakais, and Benazir mekedei ushtaisa, and Rabbi Kiva mekedei l'tzalas beya, and Rabbi Yehuda ben Besaira mekedei l'gaima. So if it said before hakafas dekel and now chazaras dekel, so kasaka that we would think that hakafas dekel, hainu chazaras dekel, it's the same thing. In fact, but then we have a problem. Hosam Amar Rabbi Shmuel Kazei hakafas dekel upol Rabbi Lezer. Over there, Rabbi Shua says that shit, and Rabbi Lezer disagrees with him. And Hocha Amar Kadei chazaras dekel. So if it's the same thing, so it can't be the same thing, because before they're disagreeing. So the Gemara, Omar Abaye said, hakafas dekel, hakafa beregel, and chazara beruach. Hakafas dekel means walking around the tree, and chazara beruach means if the wind is pushing it, so push it one way and then push it back. That's called chazara beruach. Boy, Rav Ashi. So Rav Ashi had a question on the part you say hakafa beregel, that we understand. But when you say beruach, there's a little thing that's not clear. Does it mean Boy Rav Ashi chazara beruach ki hechad ozol bahada asi? In other words, the wind pushes it this way and it comes back, or Aidilma or kihechad ozol v'asi v'hada kai b'duchtei. In other, it can go sometime. The wind pushes it so till it gets back in its place. It can go 2 times back and forth. So what share are we giving? So the Gemara take that's not resolved. Now the Gemara is again between the two braisos. Hosam Amar Rabbi Lezer kedei mizigas hakais. Over there, Rabbi Lezer said time it takes to mix the kais, and Hocha, he says kedei chazaras dekel. So why does he get 2 different shurim? And for the Gemara, idi chad shur, that's the same thing. The both of these is the same amount of time. And Hosam Amar Rabbi Shua kedei l'shtoisai, and Hocha Amar kedei mizigas hakais. Before he said to drink it, and now he says the Gemara says Eima kedei limzek b'lishtos. It's both things. You have to have both things together. Why don't we answer the same thing as before? That's the same teretz. So the Gemara, because im kain hainu Rabbi Lezer, that would be the same as what Rabbi Lezer said. So we have to say that they each give a different shit. Hosam Amar ben Azai kedei l'tzalis beitza. Over there, Ben Azai said to fry the egg, and Hochli Amar kedei l'shtaisai. So Gemara answer idi chas shura. Fact the Gemara. Hasam Amar Rabbi Kiva kedei l'gaima, and Hochli Amar kedei l'tzalis beitza. So it's the same thing. Eima kedei l'tzalis beitza v'l'gaima. Fact the Gemara v'leima idi chad shura. Why do you say that these two are the same thing? So the Gemara in Cain hainu Ben Azai. Then it would be the same as Ben Azai says. Hasam Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Besaira kedei l'gaima shalish beitzim. Over there he said that at the time to take to swallow the 3 eggs, zuach azul. So the Gemara with Vara the Rebbe Kiva Kama, he's saying to Rebbe Kiva, the Kama, you say Meshayrim b'tzliya or b'gemiya, you're giving 2 things, tzliya and gemira, the frying and the swallowing it. Aim a shir gemiya l'chuda. Why don't you just give a shir? Don't talk about 1 egg frying it and drinking it. Zok kedei l'gama shows beitzim zach azul. The hainu, which is tzliya gemira, in other words, make things more simpler. When you give 2, you say 2 things, people have to start approximately. Say 1 thing, 82. Okay. So now the Gemara explains some of the things that we mentioned before. That the weaver could tie together the threads that split. Boy of Ashi, the merachik or the mekarim. It depends when are the threads split and you have to bring them together, or they're right there together and you just have to tie them together. Something more taiko. That he gave this to take a toothpick, to take out something from between the teeth. By Rav Ashi, the mahadik, or the lay mahadik. Doesn't mean that it's something stuck tight in the teeth. Sometimes it's stuck tight, you have to work to get it out, and sometimes it goes easy. Something more take it. He said that is put to take out the bread from the basket. Boy Rav Ashi, the mahadik, or the lay mahadik. Are the breads in tight, and you have to get it out, or the breads or it's loose? Bechadati, ayvatiki. What type of basket are we talking about? Are we talking about an old basket or a new basket? What's the difference? Because an old basket, things will slip out easier. If it's a new basket, sometimes there's little splinters like that in the basket, so it's a little more difficult to get out. And that the Gemara, bekriri or bechamimi, is the bread hot or is it cold? If the bread is hot, so then it gets stuck. It's a little hard to get it out. It slips out of the hand. And b'dechiti or b'desairi, what type of flour is it? If it's flour from wheat is softer, so it gets out easier. And barley is a rougher, so it's a little harder to take it. B'dekichi or ba'akushi, also is it soft or is it hard? Take them out, take it. Amar Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef, Amar Rav Yechon, everyone gives you a different zman. Everyone's zman is a different. It's a difference. Maybe each one may be a different than a minute one from the other. But why does it says that the Gemara as Amar Rav Yechon and Rav Yechon kol echad v'echad ba'atzmei shia. Each one judged from his own experience. Fact the Gemara, va'ike ben Azai d'lei nosef. Ben Azai didn't get married, so he now had no experience. How does he come to give his shir over here? So the Gemara, Iboy Seima Nosef with Peter Shaver. It could be it's not that he was married a short time, and he got so we know Ben Azai not being married. Why? Because he was married a very short time, but he was married, so he had experience. Or Iboy Seima, or I could tell you, there's a pasuk, Soid Hashem Lireyev. The Eibishter is Megalus Soidus to those who fear him.
Before that, Meirav Yishom.
Huh?
There's one before Meirav Yishom.
Oh, Iboy Seima Meirav Yishom. He heard it in a shir. That's exactly what he heard from some other Tana. Iboy Seima Soid Hashem Lireyev. Something Gemara Dorish Ravavira. Ravavira Darshan. Zimna Nomal Mishmei the Rebbe. Ami. Sometimes he said it over in the name of Ami. The Zimna Nomal Mishmei the Rebbe Asi. Ami and Asi are close together. The whole difference, one is with a man, one is with a summer. So it's not clear from exactly who he said it from. He said as follows: someone that eats bread without Netilas Yadayim, kilu bo al isha zoyna. It's equivalent to Chas V'Shalom having a relationship with a isha zoyna. Shenema ki ba'ad isha zoyna ad kika lechem. Ba'ad isha zoyna kika lechem. So you see in the pasuk that isha zoyna is connected with kika lechem. Frekti Gemara Amar Rava Hai ba'ad isha zoyna kika lechem. It should be the reverse. Ba'ad kika lechem ad isha zoyna. You're saying that if we're going to Netilas Yadayim is like going to isha zoyna, the pasuk says faket. The pasuk says that the lechem is for the isha zoyna comes first, and over here by the Netilas Yadayim, so it should have said ba'ad kika lechem. In other words, without Natilas Yadayim, Adi Shazayna. Elam Rava said, the Pshat is a Kol Abali Shazayna, L'Usaik Mevakesh Kika Lechem. He Chas V'Shalom, he's struck with poverty, and he'll have to look to find a piece of food to eat. Said the Gemara, Amar Rav Zika, Amar Rav Elazar. Rav Zika said in the name of Rav Elazar, Kol HaMazalzel Matilas Yadayim, Nekem and Oilam. Someone that's Mazalzel, so Mazalzel means that he doesn't eat, he doesn't wash, very infrequently does he wash. Many times he doesn't wash. So Kol HaMazalzel Matilas Yadayim, Nekem and Oilam, he gets extracted from the world. Amar Rab Chia Bar Ashi, Amar Rab. They're talking about Natilas Yadayim. So Rab Chia Bar Ashi says the following: Mayim Rishayim Tzarech Sheyagbiya Yodav L'Mayla. Mayim Achrayim Tzarech Sheyashpil Yodav L'Mata. That means that this: when you're washing Natilas Yadayim, so you should hold your hand a little upward. That's when you're washing for the meal. When you're washing Mayim Achayim at the end of the meal for benching, you should hold your fingers a little bit downward. Why? We'll soon see. Why is like the Gemara? Tanya Nami Hacha, we also learned this. Hanaitel Yadav, so she'abia Yadav v'mayla, shema yetzu mayim chutz l'peirik, that means that there's different shatim over here in this piece of Gemara. But if you look at Rashi, there's a very interesting Rashi. Rashi says over here, is it Rashi? Mayim Rishayim Shavnei Hamazon, Sheyagbia Yodov, Rashi Es Ba'Aisav, Sheyil Hamayim Meshapim L'Tzad Zre'Aisav. So Rashi talks about the fingers, because there's a shaila by Natilas Yadayim, Moshe, we're mahadar to wash Natilas Yadayim till the wrist, but others only wash the fingers. So this Rashi here goes according to the Shita that we're talking about the fingers. Now the shaila, Bekitza, the shaila, there's different stories over here with Rashi. There's a lot of talk about it. I don't want to go into that now, but in Pashat Pshat, the shal is a zay. We have a klal that Yadayim Maskoni is saying. So maybe Vibal Yadayim Maskoni is saying, so they become Tomei. That's where the whole idea of Natilas Yadayim came from Truma. Because Yadayim were Shniyas, they considered a Sheni L'Truma, and when they touched Truma, they could pass the Truma. So they had to wash their hands before they ate Truma. And that's the reason, because in order that Esrach Truma, it's called, in order connection to Truma, we still wash our hands till this very day. Now, the hands are tamei. When you pour water on the hands, so the water removes the tumah from the hand. Now, where does the tumah go? The tumah goes into the water that you poured on the hand. So therefore, you pour a second time after that, and the second time washes off the Talmudic water from the hand. Now the shaila is, l'mashal, if someone is washing his hand, let's say he's washing till here, or let's say he's washing till the wrist. I mean, either way. Now, supposing you pour water on the hand, and the water went, let's say, dripped downwards. It dripped down. So what happened? The Talmudic water dripped downwards. Then later, you pour a second time, but the second time didn't cover the first water that dripped downward. So then later, when that Talmudic water will come back, it will be matama the water that's supposed to be mataya. So therefore, he says you should hold your hand a little bit upward the whole time, so in case anything dripped down, so it wouldn't come back and be matama. When you do mayim achayim, what's the inyan of mayim achayim? There's a different inyanim. One inyan is because of what we call melech's daimus, and there's another inyan the Gemara says Because Hogos and Nefesh. What's the Raya Hogos and Nefesh? The Gemara explains that, I think it's a Chulun. The Gemara explains that Hogos and Nefesh means that there's someone that came to somebody's wife and asked her to give him something, and said, your husband asked me, and how did he know that to say to the husband? Because he saw the husband's fingers were dirty from food. So he saw that, so he said, I'll give you a simmer what you were eating. Then later when the husband came, so she said, I did what the messenger told me. He got very angry and he killed her. I never told him. Now how do you wash in the Tilu Shadayim? So, and Rashi said, Zuama. Zuama could be either from food or from the salt, whatever it is. But the main thing is, you want to get it off your fingers. So if you can hold your fingers upwards, so it's going to just drip down. So in order to get it off, you have to hold the fingers downward, and it will go down. That's the kiss over here, what the story is with the Tilu Shadayim. Let's see if I think the Gemara. Omar Rabbi Bogomilsky said, Ko ha'oichel possible nigav yadayim. If someone washed and he didn't wipe his hands are wet, it's ki'u oichel lechem tamei. It's like he's eating tamadika bread. Why is tamadika bread? Because there's tamadika water on his hands, like I just explained it. Shenemet, as the pasuk says, Vayomer Hashem, Kocha Yochel b'nei Yisrael eslachim tamei. That they'll eat tamei, their hands they'll be tamadik. Okay. It's like the Gemara. Umay, we had a pasuk before of Ba'ad Isha Zaina Akika Lechem. So the pasuk over there says, Ve'eshes ish nefesh yikara he totzud. That the eshes will capture nefesh yikara, the prominent, the valuable nefesh. What does that mean? Amar Abchia Baba. Kol sheyesh bar gasas ruach. Whoever has gasas ruach, that's gaiva, is a b'sayif nifshel be'eshes ish. The stuff is that I'm following what a nation is. Shenema said in Pasuk, the Ashes ish nefesh yikara totzah. Nefesh yikara it means now he's talking Eina was haltzachaych, considers himself important. So he's saying he's connecting the Ashes ish will capture the nefesh yikara. The Balgaivanik will have relation with her. Omar, Rabbi said, Hi nefesh yikara, nefesh gevaya mi boile. Nefesh yikara means valuable. Gaiva means raising, someone that continues to raise himself. So instead of yikara, he should have said gevaya. V'oid, he taught me boile. It should have said that the Ashes will capture. Ela Amarava, Kal Abo Aleshes Ish, Afil Lama Taita, someone that Chas v'Shalom has a relation with an Ashes Ish, even if he's a Talmud Chacham, that learned Taita, the Ksiv by a Talmud Chacham, by Taita state, Yikara Him Pnimim, Mikayan Gadol, Shenichnas Lefnai Pnim, is he to Tzudana, Ledina Shal Gehenim. She will bring this Talmud Chacham, Chas v'Shalom to Gehenim. Omar, Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rav Shimon ben Yechoy, Kol sheyesh bar gasas ruach, ki'ilu oived avodah zarah. Someone that's gaiva is like the equivalent of avodah zarah. Siv hacha, over here it says, Tayivas Hashem kol gval leiv. It says, Tayivas Hashem kol, that the gval leiv means gaiva, is Tayivas Hashem, is something that the Eibush despises. Siv hacha, there it says, so that's Avodah Zarah. So Avodah Zarah called the Eva, and he's the Gval Leiv, so it comes connection. Rabbi Yochanan Dayama, Rabbi Yochanan on his own said, Ki'ilu Kafa Be'ika, like in Chas v'Shalom, He's a kaifer in the Eibishter. Why? Shenema, the pasuk says, "V'rom levavcha v'shechachta." V'rom levavcha, that means gaiva. So what'll be? You will forget es Hashem Elokecha. So, in other words, he'll be a kaifer v'ika. Doesn't mean he'll forget it. He wouldn't care about Hashem anymore. Reb Chama b'chanin Omer, ki ubo al kol arayah shebetorah. It's the equivalent of someone that had relation with all the forbidden relationships from the Torah. Where do we see it? Because ksiv hacha, over here it says kayav as Hashem called v'alev. Ksiv hacha as kol atayves el. Also, by the parsha that we read on Yom Kippur, it calls it all tayves, all the despicable things. And Ula said, Kiel bona boma, like he built a mizbeach. But it means not a kosher mizbeach. Shenema chidu lechem min ha'odam asher neshama ba'apay ki b'meh nechshavu. In other words, chidu means stay away from the person that is a bagayver. Because b'meh nechshavu. So Gemara says, Al tiki b'meh ela boma. Ki boma nechshavu, because he's considered like a false mizbeach. Zok the Gemara, my yad liyad la yenake. That's the continue in the pasuk. Ki b'adish zayna yad liyad la yenake. Amar Rav said, Kol habo al eshesish. Afilu hiknoel HaKadosh Baruch Hu shemayim v'aretz k'Avraham Avinu. Even if he recognizes the Eibishter, like Avraham Avinu, the Ksiv by Avraham Avinu state, Harimoisi Yodi, when he met with the people of Zdaim, she said, Harimoisi Yodi El Hashem Kel Elyon, Kainei Shemayim V'aretz. Avraham declared that the Eibishter is Kainei Shemayim V'aretz. So he says that even if he's in certain things, he's like Avraham Avinu. Is from deswegen is if he had relation with an Eishes Ish, is yad liyad lo yenake. In other words, yad liyad means that his hand recognized the Eibishter's hand. No, I'm sorry. Kainish was lo yenake midina shel Gehenna. It wouldn't help him not to have Gehenna. Kashu Reb Shila, so Reb Shila asked the question, Ha yad la yenake yad yodi mi boile. What yad yodi means the Eibishter said yodi will not clean him. Ela Omar Dvei Reb Shila, Afil Kibbutz Torah Moshe Rabbeinu. Even if he received the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Ksiv by Moshe Rabbeinu state. Mimina Ejdos Ramai, that the Eibishter he got from the Eibishter's right hand is Lo Yenaka Medina Shel Gehenna. This will not save him from Gehenna. In fact, the Gemara Kashrei Rabbi Yochanan Ha Yad Liyad Yad Mi Yad Mi Boy. Yad means giving to the hand. It should be Yad Mi Yad. You want to compare it to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu got from the Eibishter's hand, not Moshe Rabbeinu gave to the Eibishter's hand. So the Gemara, El Amar Rabbi Yochanan, read the Gemara right there. El Amar Rabbi Yochanan, no? Afilu.
Ace is stuck with Seise.
Huh?
Ace is stuck with Seise.
Afilu.
Ace is stuck with Seise. Just to the stuck with Seise. Martin with Seise.
Afilu. Ace is stuck with Seise. In other words, the Ksiv, Martin b'Seise Yechape Af. That Martin b'Seise is the thing that will bend the anger of Hashem. Is Lo Yenake Medina Shel Gehenna. If he gave yad, he gave it privately. No one saw it, so it's a big thing. From that, if he had a shot with Eishes Ish, he can't buy himself out with that, and he will get Gehenna. Okay.
Well, I don't understand this. I was told that there's a lot of yeshivas.
One minute. Okay.
So
It's always my